Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today we're checking out the Harvest plugin by Harvest Plugins. This is a music theory tool that has a really unique approach to helping people keep inside of a scale and get the right melodies and chords for whatever they're working with. So what I'm going to do in this video, you can consider it a quick start guide. I'm not going to go over everything that's available inside of this plugin, but I am going to show you how to get up and running and tell you a little bit about how to get started and what's available to you. So I have Harvest on a MIDI channel inside of Ableton Live, and I have a grand piano instrument on another MIDI channel. What I want to do is get the MIDI from the Harvest plugin into trigger this piano. To do that in Live, I'm going to go from no input to Harvest, and then in the second drop down, go to Harvest and make sure I'm on in. By default, it will be on auto. Just make sure you're monitoring in. Just make sure that Harvest is the channel that's selected, and if I play some notes here, you can see that this MIDI is triggering that piano. Perfect. So let's talk about Harvest. The thing that makes this so unique is you tap the rhythm and Harvest will make a melody for you, for example. So that's what we're going to do right here. First thing we need to do is set the scale. So let's come into something like D minor. That's a good place to start. We're going to come back to this in a second, but quantization, right now it's on infinite, which just means if you hit the tap button or press a key on your keyboard, it's going to get activated and go anywhere on this grid. I want it to be quantized. Let's go a 16th to start with. How many bars are we going to have this play for? The loop, essentially. I'm going to go 2 bars just to keep things fairly simple. And once I do that, I need to zoom out once so I can see those 2 bars. This is 1 bar, this is the other one. You can see the difference or the kind of midway point. That's kind of the bold black line there. Perfect. Note length. How long do I want these notes to be triggered for once I hit the tap button? I'm going to leave it on 8s for now. Again, I can come back and change this later, but I'm going to make something really simple just so you get a good idea of what's going on. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to play, and I'm going to let it play through the 2 bars, and then I'm going to tap out a rhythm, and Harvest is going to play a melody based on that rhythm, or not based on it, but it's going to play that rhythm, but it's going to put the notes in different places along the scale. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so you see there that I actually let it loop through twice and I overdubbed there. So I added a couple of extra notes and now I have a very basic melody. And this one's a little bit off time. So what I can click and drag and drop that. I can double click to remove it, or I can double click to add it back or add new ones. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn off that metronome. And now that I have that, I can hit this button here to get a new melody based on that rhythm. Do it again. All right, so that's the very basics of it. Now I can move this up an octave if I want to. Let's say that this is a little bit too low for what I'm looking for. I can move it up an octave by clicking that and then clicking this and turning it on. And now the highlighted notes are where I'm gonna regenerate this melody pattern to. Let's move it over here and see what that sounds like. If I have more than one selected, more than one octave selected, and I regenerate, it will spread that out over those 2 octaves. Now, another thing I can do as well is lock anything down. Let's say I like how these are working. I like these 2. Anything that has the white box around it means it's going to be locked from when I regenerate the pattern over here. All right, so that's the very basics of it. Let's go ahead and print that to a track. So the way to do that now is I'm gonna go ahead and record this MIDI track with the grand piano on it. And if I record, boom, we have our 2-bar loop. And what I can do now is duplicate that track because I'm gonna come back. And then on this one, go from in to auto. And now I have that and I can loop it out. If I come in and just go ahead and crop clip or consolidate will work as well. Turn it on loop, and I can do, you know, a 4-bar loop now. And let's come inside Ableton Live and loop that 4 bars. Let's jump back into this grand piano and get rid of this right here. And the next thing I do is choose a different piano sound. Let's choose that one. And now I'm going to show you how to get chords going with Harvest. So what I want to do is, again, let's go ahead. Let's keep D minor. Let's get rid of that upper octave. Let's hit clear here, which is going to clear everything. And instead of 2 bars, let's go 4 bars. And instead of note length 1/16, let's turn it on a bar and go ahead and tap out a chord progression. So the way that's going to work is I want to see my 4 chords, or my 4 bars rather, and I'm going to tap this until I have 4 notes, and then I'm going to overdub 2 more times so I have my triads. So let's go ahead and see what that's like. And by the way, to move up and down inside of here, I'm using my mouse wheel. Okay, so there we go. Now you might think, hey, this one didn't get added. It did, in fact. It just got put on the same note. If I go ahead and let's say I like this first bunch of chords here, I'm going to go ahead and lock that down. If I go ahead and hit the refresh, you'll see that I have the 3 notes inside of there. So let's just go ahead and say that we like these. I haven't heard them yet. Let's go ahead and preview them. So I'm liking this, I'm feeling this. Let's go ahead and keep this, but just move this one around until we get something a little bit different. Maybe that will work. And there we go. So we've got a chord progression and a melody, and all we had to do was a couple of taps on the tap knob here after tweaking some parameters. So let's talk about the effects real quick. We have a number of them. We have the progression to go up, the progression to go down, the chord spread options, the chances of rest, the humanize function. There's the note probability, which we can set, and then the pitch as well. So I just want to show you 2 of these, and then you can jump in and test out the other ones on your own. For example, if I have the effect on that is up, that means as I tap in new notes, they'll tend to go up. So let's go ahead and check that out. Now I do have a level and accuracy control. I've boosted those up to their maximum. Again, this has to do with probability. So we should see something very quickly that's tending to go up the scale rather than down or any random position. So if I hit the random button here, you can see how it goes up. You see how as I'm hitting the randomize feature, for the most part, it's going to go up the scale. Now, when I put it in, the first note happened to be up, so I had nowhere to go because I didn't have extra octaves available for the randomization engine. But if I keep pressing this over here, you'll see that in general, the notes are going to step up. If I flip that to down, look what's happened here. As I've moved this around, they tend to go down the scale instead. And that's going to work similar fashion for any one of these effects. You have 2 controls to tell Harvest how much of that particular effect you want to apply to what you're putting in, and then after what you apply using the randomize feature. So that is a very basic introduction to Harvest, and hopefully it's enough to get you started creating unique melodies and chord progressions. This can also be used for drums as well. Maybe I'll do a separate tutorial if there's enough interest for it. Leave it in the comments if there is. So Harvest is a really great music theory tool with a really unique approach to it, and it's available now on pluginboutique.com. Links in the video description as always. I'm Joshua Casper. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.